So it's October the 12th today. Oh, no, it's the 11th. It's the 11th of October. Let's check that actually. It is the 11th of October, 2024. I've had a pretty tumultuous last week and a half, almost 2 weeks really, and lots happened in that 2 week period. I took a break of 3 weeks from caring for my friend full time and working on my friend's property in Waikanae in the Kapiti Coast, who had a disease, a cancer, and the oncologist didn't know what kind of cancer it was, which is I find interesting. And there's a number of situations that happened during his processes that made that cancer into a turbo cancer, and that relates to the work of Dr. Jack Kruse, Kruse, in his expose on the SV40 compound and the irradiation of that compound and what happens to that compound, what happens to the cancer when it's irradiated. So, in my experience, but my dear friend Jeff, transitioned on Wednesday morning peacefully in his sleep in the morning with his brother at his side. And for me, there couldn't have been a better way for him to transition into his next adventure. Because to me, the whole idea of death it doesn't exist. There's no death, it's an illusion. It's a transition. And I feel as though on some level, for me, the whole idea of incarnation, of spirit or awareness into biological, physical entities, e.g. the body, for me, that is almost like a caterpillar into a chrysalis, and the body being the chrysalis, and the butterfly flies out eventually and leaves this frequency band, this frequency band we call reality, and then moves on to another level of existence. So for me, there is no death. It's just doesn't exist. There's only life. There's only life. So I spent almost 7 weeks with my friend, dropping in with him deeply, going through the worst and the best of times, seeing him in excruciating pain. That's why I'm grateful that he died peacefully in his sleep, or transitioned peacefully in his sleep. The word "died" is, for me, isn't really applicable to the situation I find myself in regards to my awareness. I feel as though, as my friend Mayank, who was a devotee of Babaji in India, in Kula for almost 40 years, in the Himalayas, he said yesterday by email to me, Jeff has become what he always was, awareness. So there is no more Jeff. Jeff is a memory. Jeff is a memory in my heart, a feeling in my heart. That's what I identify with Jeff. There is no Jeff anymore. There's only the cadaver, the corpse, the rotting corpse, the technological, biological entity, this genetic spacesuit, as David Icke once famously called it, that is left behind. But Jeff, or not even Jeff, because Jeff was a sum total of his experiences and personality and personas that he wore during his life through conditioning. The awareness that was in the body, that was what we call Jeff, has left the body and is everywhere. I could totally feel his presence a number of times in the last few days since his transitioning. And a lot of laughter around that as well. A lot of laughter, which is how Jeff and I really related to each other, through laughter. A lot of laughter, a lot of jokes, a lot of lad jokes. But we got each other's humour and we laughed a lot together, and more than cried. But we still had tears, we still cried together, we still laughed, we still had moments of deep grief together. And that's why I don't feel any grief now for his transitioning, because I grieved for 7 weeks as I saw him on his journey and making the decisions, and him eventually, with a phone call to me, taking full accountability for all the decisions he's made in regards to his journey. I, for one, being a survivor of that disease, took a very different route to him. And that different route has allowed me to be here today, still embodied in my genetic spacesuit. His journey took him to a place where he left and transitioned his genetic spacesuit and became what I called comedically the naked space angel that he always was within that genetic spacesuit, the awareness. And the awareness is now everywhere. It's a part of me, it's a part of everyone that he ever knew, every experience that he ever knew. He is now part of all that is, and always was, and always will be. He's always been that, but the awareness is free of the shackles, and this is my perception, the shackles of conditioning, the shackles of societal pressure, the shackles of this frequency band. He's free of all of that, and he now, and for me, in my perception, is having an incredible adventure, a whole new adventure, and that's a blessing for me, given the nature of what I think his experience would be like if he was still here, bound to his genetic spacesuit, and what he was experiencing before I left to go away for 3 weeks to take a break, with the intention of coming back to continue my journey with him till December, and then move on to the South Island of this country, Te Waipounamu, to travel around the country, that island, for 3 months over the summer. So now for me, a lot of people have asked me and have been checking in with me and thanking me for my time that I spent with him. I didn't want any accolades or need any accolades. I stepped in to help and be with my friend because it was my friend and my brother. I loved the memory now. I love the man that was, the being that was inside of Jeff, and all about Jeff. Everything about Jeff was, I loved him dearly and deeply. He's a friend, a dear friend. In the last 4 years of our lives together, we had some incredibly funny, beautiful and wondrous experiences together. And I was incredibly grateful to have that time with him I had for the 7 weeks. So no, I don't feel any grief at all. I feel only jubilation that my friend is no longer bound to the shackles of this frequency band. And yet, I still feel his presence around me as I'm making this video, and in my heart. The memory, and it is just that, it's the memory of Jeff, because there is no Jeff, there's only awareness, there is no spoon, there's only awareness, and that awareness now has shifted into a new frequency band, wherever that might be. Some people that funnily enough, in the last few weeks, I've had these synchronistic moments where I've had desires to look at certain videos and watch certain people talk about the experiences around the nature of the whole idea of transitioning, or death as we call it. And David Icke was one of those individuals. I watched a video on the Inspired channel with David Icke, and he talked about the nature of his perceptions on the process of death or transitioning. And I found it fascinating. I haven't always, especially lately, listened to Icke or actually followed Icke's work. I've witnessed it and looked at it and been aware of it, but I haven't really followed it as such. But this video really made me think, and even though there are mystery school works that denote quite a different experience to what Icke was talking about, and his perceptions around this transitioning from this frequency band to the next frequency band, which being the lower astral and the astral level, the astral plane. And how Icke talks about the nature of the astral plane being technological, especially in the lower levels of the astral, and the mind wipe and the recycling of consciousness or awareness back into the frequency, into what he perceives to be the simulation. And I totally get this. I was in a place in my life, for me the jury's out whether we're living in a simulation or we're living in a live stream, as the mystery schools call it. Or we're living in a yoga cycle, all of the above, which can be obviously in some perception, at some level, all those perceptions, the simulation, the live stream, the yoga cycles, the cycles of ages, all could be programs, software programs, all of them could be, could be software programs basically created by a form of artificial intelligence that creates this hack of prime reality, as the Gnostics once called our real world. Not this frequency band, but this is a hack of it. So to me, I listen to these podcasts, watch these videos that came into my life in the last few weeks, synchronistically came into my life in the last few weeks. The Danny Jones, Dr. Cruz, some podcasts came into my life about 2 weeks ago. I watched that eventually over 4 days because it was 4 hours long. The Icke video came into my awareness about a month ago, and I watched it last week, and it was powerful for me in regards to my perceptions around the nature of transitioning and the understanding of the awareness And for me, that awareness is quite prescient in my life, and all I have to do is tap into it. And I tap into it a lot during meditation, but then in my life, my day-to-day life, my moment-to-moment life, I do my best to tap into that awareness as well and go beyond the software programs running through my emotional, technological, as David Icke calls it, biological form, which is basically a genetic spacesuit that I'm occupying in order to experience this frequency band, right? And the nature of the transition process, if you're totally aware, in Icke's perception, if you are aware of your transitioning process, you can go beyond the programs, the software programs, beyond the technological trap. He calls it the trap, the technological trap of the lower fourth dimension, the lower astral, and move beyond that and go out into infinity. And when you go out into infinity and beyond beyond the astral plane, which he calls technological, and beyond the simulation, AI, regurgitation, recycling, incarnation process, you go beyond that. You're basically you're going into infinity, back to Soul Prime Creator, and therefore you can go beyond the whole idea of the reincarnation cycle. This is fascinating to me, truly fascinating. And my prayers, my deep, heartfelt prayers for my friend, the awareness now, but my memory of my friend, because it is a memory to me, it's a memory of Jeff, is that awareness has got through the astral, if this is a true fact, has got through the lower and the astral levels of technological matrix. If this is a simulation, if this frequency band is a simulation, a hack of an original prime reality, and that awareness has gone beyond it, out of it, and through and into infinity, it is now in infinity, and is therefore able to, from that place of infinity, tap into this frequency band whenever it chooses to acknowledge and to communicate with us, those friends, loved ones, the frequency band itself, and beyond that, and well beyond that. And all we have to do is call it in, and it will be here for us and with us. So I feel no sadness and no grief. I did all that for 7 weeks. I felt that. I feel only a celebration of life for the memory of my friend, my dear friend and my brother. Only a celebration of life. And I know that life continues for him. And the most important thing in that aspect of the life continuance of his own life experience, beyond the genetic spacesuit and into infinity, is the awareness in my heart, that his transitioning was peaceful and smooth, and that he lives on in infinity, experiencing multiple levels of existence whenever that awareness chooses to, because there's no Jeff anymore, it's just awareness. And that the memory of the man named Jeff, the personas, the personality, the layers, the memories, the experiences, the sum total of all my experiences of 4 years being with this individual in this genetic spacesuit are with me whenever I want to bring them to my awareness, to my presence. They're all in my heart. They're all in my heart. So there's no grief for me. There's only a celebration of life. Thanks for watching. Travel well, my friend. Travel well. I'll see you soon. Mate wa. I'll see you all soon too.